Good morning, everybody. Rajeshwari,
Yeah.
let's begin.
Yes. Yeah. Good morning, all of you. Vanakkam, Namaskar. A very pleasant morning and a warm welcome to the distinguished guests, principal, deans, faculty members, and delegates from various esteemed institutions. I, Ms. K. Rajeshwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, IQAC member, take this opportunity to welcome you all to the two-day national level webinar on the role of ranking frameworks in quality enhancement in higher educational institutions, organized by IQAC, St.Ann's College for Women. We have been successfully completed the webinar on day one with two technical sessions on the parameters of impact of teaching, learning, and research on ranking frameworks and publication citations attributes for assessing. I would like to thank all the participants for your active participation on day one, and I hope the same to be continued for the day two. Let us begin this wonderful morning by invoking the blessings of Lord Almighty. Prayer is not asking, prayer is putting ourselves under the feet of the God. When we pray, God hears more than we say, answers more than we ask, gives more than we imagine in His own way and His own time. I now invite Miss Teresa to lead us in the prayer.
Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Lord. Give thanks because His given Jesus Christ, His Son. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Lord. Give thanks because His given Jesus Christ, His Son. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich because of what the Lord has done for us. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich because of what the Lord has done for us. Give thanks,
Thank you, Ms. Teresa. Strategy is a fancy word for coming up with a long-term plan and we are putting it into action by Mr. Eli. I now take privilege in welcoming our speaker, Dr. A. Xavier Mahimeraj, Assistant Professor, PG and Research, Department of Commerce, Loyola College, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, for Technical Session 3, a strategy approach to excellence in NIRF. Welcome you, sir. I would like to introduce Dr. Xavier Mahimeraj with this brief profile. Dr. Xavier is an assistant professor, PG and Research, Department of Commerce in Loyola College, Chennai. His qualification includes MCom, MEd, MBA, MPhil, PhD. Dr. Xavier has more than 25 years of teaching and research experience at both UG and PG level. Sir qualified SLET in the year 2000. Since 2013, Dr. A. Xavier has been working as a IQAC coordinator in Loyola College. Sir worked as a Vice Principal, Student Affairs Coordinator for PULC Training Program. He is currently working as a research supervisor to guide PhD in Commerce of University of Madras. Sir presented 22 papers in various national and international seminars. He published 18 papers in various national and international journals. He chaired more than 7 conferences and addressed 2 universities and more than 23 colleges as a resource person on various topics such as autonomy, curriculum development, quality practice in higher education, and the evaluate mechanism of IQAC. He organized an international conference as an organizing secretary. He worked as a convener for various national and international level seminars. We are indeed pleased to have you with us today, sir. I would like to extend my warm welcome with green greetings. Sir, please accept our virtual green greetings.
Thank you.
Over to you, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful words. Reverend Dr. P. Amruta, Principal of St. Anne's College for Women. Dr. Smita Asthana, the Dean, Academics and IQAC Coordinator. Ms. D. Srikala, Additional IQAC Coordinator and Head, Department of Statistics. Ms. K. Rajeshwari, IQAC Member, and all the other respected members of IQAC, organizers of the program, and revered professors who gathered here for today's program. Pleasant good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank all the organizers for this wonderful opportunity. It's a matter of my pride and privilege to be with you this morning virtually to share some of my insights on the topic, the chosen topic, something on a strategic approach to an era of excellence. So what I prepared for today's deliberation is very simple. I'm just going to decode what is the status of higher education of our country and how we can make use of this quality framework for our own quality enhancement, sustenance, and assurance. So this is what, and in that line, I will be touching upon how we can standardize certain things, how we can plan in terms of a long-term orientation on various parameters to be evolved at our institution level so that we become really prepared for subjecting ourselves for various ranking. But that is not our ultimatum, the ultimatum to serve the essence of higher education of this great country. So this is what that I prepared for a kind of sharing today. So what's the world like today we are living in? So that's the first thing that I would like to start with. So we are in the midst of a global pandemic, physically distant but virtually connected. That's what we are experiencing in the last 2 years. We are experiencing divisions over nationality, race, religion, gender, economic status. The kind of a divide is ever increasing. We live in a world with heightened surveillance. Everything is watched, everything is observed, everything is converted into kind of a data, and based on that, the whole world has become a kind of a market and commercialization. Information technology has permeated all aspects of life. So this is the kind of environment where we are really domined now. But what are we currently doing in higher education institutions in our country? We focus on helping students to cram information when it is available freely at a click of the button. I hope you all will agree with me if I say this. And our examination testing system is only testing the recall, memory, root based, encouraging information recall. This is most efficiently handled by computers, but still we stick to the system. Some of the skills we teach, like computer coding, C++, or solving differential equations, identifying chemicals in a test tube, or translating into Chinese or any other language. All what we are trying now could be easily done with the help of artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence can already do these tasks better and to the best level. But as a higher education, a kind of players in higher education, we are doing this. So let me take another statistics. If you look at 50s, we started in a very humble way as far as our higher education is concerned. Now, say 30 universities and 695 colleges. Whereas today, if you take the recent AISH report, 1920, 1,043 universities that we have and 42,343 colleges we have in our country. And if you take our enrollment to higher education, 38.5 million students have enrolled. Number of teachers, if you look at 15 lakh 3,156, and gross enrollment ratio is 27.1. So we have grown in a very bigger way over the years, and we are now third largest higher education as far as student enrollment is concerned in the world. But look at another statistics. This is on something on quality. When you take something on quality aspects, as far as our country is concerned, for say arts and science colleges, we have NAC accreditation framework since 1994. So if you look at total of 13,399 institutions have been accredited since its inception 1994. Whereas if you take the recent data, another maybe 250 to 300 institutions to be added. At the most 1,000 institutions to be added. The government rolled out the revised accreditation framework in 2017. And if you take, it came into effect from 2018. If you take statistics under this revised, 74 universities and another 1,485 colleges have been accredited. Whereas remaining big number of universities and colleges not yet accredited. So we don't know what is the quality level of those institutions. But out of institutions, those institutions which have been accredited so far, less than 1% of the colleges managed to top grade A++. That's a scenario today, the quality. As far as the kind of a framework that we have. While 66.4% of colleges were graded in between B++ and B. Among the universities, 6.5% were recorded A++ grade and the revised accreditation framework, while 51.4% were graded between B++ and B grades. So that's a quality indicator that we have. What should be our focus to cope up with change so that we can really see the quality, the kind of academic performance indicators we can evolve and we can do justice to the essence of higher education. We have to develop critical thinking. That's what needed today, and we have to cultivate effective communication. And we have to enable collaboration so that we can make our wards ready for teamwork. We have to nurture creativity, innovation, so that they become thinkers of out of box. So they'll become innovators. This country needs innovators to provide solutions for various social, economic issues that we face today. And we have to instill the ability to deal with change by ensuring ability to preserve mental balance in unfamiliar situations and agility to reinvent oneself according to the environment. That should be our focus. If at all we are concerned with certain quality aspects. Having said this, let us take what are the quality parameters taken into account for ranking at global level. Then I come to the NRF, national level. See, you know much better the Times Higher Education World University Ranking is one of the popular ranking that we have. It evaluates research institutions, universities across all their core missions, say teaching, research, knowledge transfer, and international network. Annually, some 1,500 institutions are ranked. And if you take their parameters for global ranking, 30% weight is given for teaching, the learning environment, and 30% for research, 30% for citations, that is called research influence. And finally, the 10% is divided into 7.5% for international outlook through survey conducted, and 2.5% for industry income. So these are the parameters they take into account for global ranking. Another famous ranking that we have, QS, Quackerly Siemens World University Rankings. If you look at this model, this is again Elsevier's Scopus database predominantly used for ranking purpose. Perception of global academic community and potential employers across the world taken into account for ranking the higher education institutions. And their framework, the distribution, if you look at, I hope you are seeing the slide. Here you can see 5% international student ratio is taken, 5% weight is given for international faculty ratio, 20% citation per faculty sourced from Scopus, and 20% faculty student ratio, 10% employer reputation, and 40% academic reputation taken into account. Take the recent global ranking by Times. None of the so-called big higher education institutes in our country didn't figure out top 300. No, our ranking starts from the band of 301 to 350 width. You can see the list. So I've given you some idea about the quantity aspects of our higher education and quality aspects, and what are the frameworks that are available at global level with indicators. Now, from 2015 onwards, we have a national institutional ranking framework. A beautiful framework, very systematically prepared, objectively prepared to subject ourselves to see on these parameters where do we stand. So it's an initiative of human resource development of the Union government from 29th September 2015. The purpose of this framework is to galvanize Indian institutions towards a competitive environment that exists in the world today. Because of it comes from the government, there is a great importance. It reminds, that's why every year we can see a number of institutions registering, subjecting themselves for ranking, ever increasing, and it is very transparent mechanism that we have. Having exposed the indicators global ranking, you will see many of such parameters are drawn and put into this particular framework as the parameters for ranking purpose as far as NRF is concerned. So we have 5 broad domains: teaching learning resources, and research and professional practices, graduation outcome, outreach and inclusivity, and finally, perception. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain you, though you had exclusive sessions on these aspects, but once again, I'm going to share my insights on these parameters and how that we can plan, suppose, you are planning for going for, NRF from this year or coming years, then how you can really plan. And when you plan, two things is very matter of importance. One is plan for data collections and also be ready for submission for ranking. That's one hand. On the other hand, how we can evolve certain benchmarking indicators and constantly working on certain systems, process, methodology, so that as an institution will grow on these parameters and will become really eligible, not only for national ranking and for global ranking. So this is what that I'm going to focus. So if you look at these 5 domains, 40% weightage is given for teaching learning resources, and 15% weightage given on research and professional practices, 25% for graduation outcome, and 10% for outreach and inclusivity, and perception holds only 10%. This is the kind of activity calendar. Usually it starts from September, and now you have to register. They'll give some 40 days time. Then a data capturing system will be enabled. So another 45 days is given to upload your data. Then you are given some time to edit, 20 days. Then finally, with the prescribed format, the data to be uploaded. Then online perception will happen side by side. For that, they allocated some 23 days. Then online feedback will be collected from the general public for that 10 days. Then they will share the results of citation and the number of research applications of your institution. They will collect from various sources, particularly from Scopus and Web of Science. They will take some 30 days time, then it will be shared with you. And they will give some time to data corrections as well. And finally, usually 3rd April or 4th April, the results are announced. But the last 2 years, due to pandemic, now it's coming up in June. Now I think anytime it is expected, maybe first week of July. So this is the usual activity calendar. So let me take teaching learning resources ranking framework, that is particular parameter. So 40% weightage. It considers the sub parameters, metrics. A student's strength, it's given 20 marks. So the more the strength that you are cater, you are able to have a more science and approved intake. Yes. So that's one of the ways to claim that you are doing justice to the access. Faculty student ratio with the emphasis on permanent faculty, 30 marks. Now, and the combined metric for faculty with the PhD and their experience matters, 20 marks, and financial resources and their utilization. So when it comes to student strength, I told you, the more that you are cater in terms of sanctions and you are able to get enough applications to allow students to enroll in a larger magnitude, yes. So that's a one point, because that caters the so-called objective of the whole country, creating more access. Then see, when it comes to faculty student ratio, optimum expected ratio is 1:10. Now, if it is say up to 1:50, yes, there is a scope to get some score. If it is more than 1:50, then the ratio is the point will be 0. So it's very important how we strike a balance as an institution to have a faculty-student ratio? Do we have enough number of staff uh, to strike a balance, no? So that at least we have no, 1 is to 30 or 40 or 1 is to 50 to fit in this framework. So we have to constantly work on that. And combined metric for faculty with the PhD, we have to encourage our staff to pursue PhD and qualify with the PhD and to become a PhD guides so that many PhD students can be enrolled in the institution. It has a huge weightage. And also the experience. There should not be more of a turnovers as far as the faculty is concerned. Now, their tenure with the institution should be longer. So say 15 years plus, 10 years plus, nothing less than 8 years. So the more the experienced faculty, the more the faculty with the PhD qualifications, and more the faculty with the guideship, 10. On 2 grounds, you can get a good score. The quality aspects of the faculty you will get. On the other hand, number of students enrolled, since you have more guides as PhD students in your institution, that is another parameter where you can get a score. So encourage the strategy that we have to encourage our faculty members either complete their PhD at the earliest and also gain their guideship at the earliest. If I mean started yet, then motivate them to go for PhD at the earliest. Then another important area, 30 marks, very important aspect, financial resources and their utilization. How much money has been spent on capital expenditure per student in the last 3 years, and how many, or we can say, how much of operational expenditure, recurring expenditure incurred per student in the last 3 years. The average is taken because it is a quality indicator. Is a kind of a plan to allocate enough funds to equip library, equipments, lab facilities, and the various workshops to create a base for knowledge transfer. That is taken into account, and it is calculated per student on average basis for the last 3 years. So you have to strategize. It is not. You have to exclude the investments on building, hostel building, and so on and so forth. Whereas how much money spent on as a capital expenditure to build learning resources, library, lab, equipments, teaching equipments, and also the workshops and various seminars, conferences conducted, so that you have really transferred and created knowledge for the same. So you have to plan for how you can really increase that every year, so that you can, because it has its own outcome, and that outcome is visible in terms of graduation outcome, and that is having impact on the perception of the institution on the whole from the outsiders. So every one is linked with other, as a matter of impact. Similarly, how much money is allocated and how much fund is allocated for operational efficiency, recurring expenditure on faculty, staff, salaries, maintenance, so that these things are really in operations, working conditions at productivity, efficiency level, and that is taken into account. And that also calculated how much a student spend on an average for 3 years, and a particular percentage will be decided by NRF, and based on that they will decide the benchmark. Then they will allocate this 30 marks. They allot this 30 marks. So that's another important thing that we have to really strategize. Moving to next, research and professional practice. So it has 2 sub parameters. One is a combined metric for number of research publications, 70 marks. So we have to encourage our staff to come up with research articles, at least 2 per year, because we have to spend No, because they take into account only from papers, from Scopus, Web of Science, no, no, so on and so forth. So unless it is very quality work, we cannot get these many articles get published in very reputed journals, peer-reviewed journals, journals which are available in Scopus list and CARE list of UGC. So encourage your staff at least to prepare one and get published one paper per semester, a quality way, and provide them some monetary incentives to encourage them to bear some expenses towards this research work, so that as an institution you will see number of research publications from your faculty ever increasing. That's a strategy that you have to now focus. And when our faculty members are encouraged to do this, the real quality work should come up, so that the combined metric for quality of research publications also taken into account. Citations should speak. More the citations, and when the citations will happen, when the quality work is there. There is something significant, something meaningful to refer. And that work automatically gets more citations. As an institution, you can get the credit. So as an institution, we have to create a system to motivate, encourage our staff to come up with many research output and which has some quality impact. So the impact factor is very matter of concern, and also citation, and also side by side numbers. That's a strategy that you have to use. So this is what that I have already explained. A little more explanation available here. So you can see Loyola is very fortunate. Now we have a good system, a Dean of Research. We have constant encouragement, and also follow-up is done. And our research publications, if you take 2017 to 19, last 3 years, you can see 429 Web of Sciences with the citations of 4,728, Scopus 477, and citations 5,000. That is why if you look at our track record from the beginning, now we've gone for ranking, our score on this metric is something phenomenal. That's one of the reasons why Loyola is now finding its place in the top 10 in the last years, ever since this framework came into existence. Encourage the staff, motivate the staff, and as a staff, those who are attending this particular session, please take that motivation. Our academic performance indicator also based on this work. So individually we can take the credit, and we can contribute kind of a credit to the institution, and we can see as a whole country at the level of global ranking we can contribute. So every bit of measure I take as individually has a huge impact on institution, on the higher education, the country, and at the global level we can really scale up. Please take that motivation and insight. And another important aspect that has the second huge weightage is given graduation outcome. And UGC is insisting on outcome-based education, learning outcome-based curriculum framework. That is measured, that is taken into account here. So the first strategy, all the institutions should go for outcome-based education. We should come up with a system, curriculum, processes, methodologies, tools for teaching, and methodology, pedagogies for our teaching, content, and testing tools, and finally evaluation methods. Everything should be in perfect alignment with the targeted outcomes of course outcomes, program-specific outcomes, program outcomes, and program educational objectives. All should be in alignment with the vision mission statement of the institution. We have to start from there. We have to start from there. And when that is being done, then we can see the learning outcomes coming up. How it is coming up? Graduation outcome. How many enrolled and how many passed by taking minimum number of years for the program. Now, if I admit 500 students, how many have graduated at the end of 3 years? It is not how many appeared for the exam and how many passed. Please don't take that way. It is how many admitted at the first year and how many completed the graduation at the third year, at the second year, PG, at the 1 year program of MPhil, so on and so forth. So, outcome. And out of those many graduated, how many placed? That's outcome. And how many gone for higher education? Another outcome. How many have become an entrepreneur? Another outcome. And it is not just placed in a particular company or institute. What is the quality of that placement, such placement? What is the median salary? What is the package offered? Which other companies, corporates have come for such a campus placement? Only campus placement, please understand that. So this metric is very important. Unless we have an outcome-based model, a kind of a framework in our institution, we cannot really score well in this context, this particular metrics, because pass percentage matters, and how many go for higher education matters, how many are placed matters, and how many are placed with high packages of compensation matters. Kindly evolve long-term plans, how that we can really ensure these attainments of outcomes. Then really we have something to showcase in this parameter, and obviously that will take us at higher ranking at national level. And of course, if you plan for global level, same parameters you can see, it is possible. So this is what I've explained. Around 40% weightage is given for combined metric for placement, higher studies, entrepreneurship. Then metric for university examination, another 40% weightage is given. Then 20 marks, 20 weightage is given for median salary. The next thing is outreach and inclusivity. It is to check whether we are doing justice for fulfilling the equity aspect of the higher education. So access, equity, excellence, all the three taken into account in the framework. Okay. So here the equity plays a role. The percentage of students from other states, countries. So do we have a diverse student enrollment? Diversity, regional diversity. And gender diversity. How much percentage of women students enrolled? How many percentage of posts allocated exclusively for women? So that women empowerment is taken into account. And do we have a kind of a space to admit socially and economically challenged students? And it is not just enough to enroll only such a background of the students. Rather, how much scholarships that we have created as an institution and from private bodies, and also how much has been tapped from government. That's taken into account. And is our campus enabled for physically challenged students? So these all taken under the context of inclusivity and reaching out, and 30 marks for students from various regional background, and 30 marks for percentage of women in the campus. That's why you can see some of the institutions 100% for women get a full mark on this parameter, and institutions which have tapped most sources of funds for scholarship and financial aids to students, those who are coming from economically and socially challenged, from government, from institution itself, from the private bodies getting full mark on this scale. And most of our institutions now are fully enabled with the provisions for physically challenged, so that also possible. So kindly prepare, have a plan how you can encourage a kind of enrollment from various regional level, and also from various segments of economically and socially challenged, and have a provision for retaining them with the financial supports. For that, contemplate on how you can enhance your funds for various financial supports. Empower women in your institution with more official posts, and also allow women students get articulated in their representation in management as a student. And finally, it comes in the question of setting up various facilities for physically challenged students. So that's what regional diversity. It is generally more blessed for the institutions which are in metropolitan cities and cities, whereas definitely it is a little handicapped for the institution in rural areas, but they have to do something on that. Then women diversity, yes, St.Ann, no issues. You are exclusively a women organization. And also you must create a provision for economically and socially challenged students. Admit more according to their quota and all the kinds of framework and stipulated suggestions that we have from the government. At the same time, create more resources to support them. So that's a matter of concern here. Then facilities I would have to. And finally, it comes perception. Finally, it comes perception. See, the perception is a very little, the least weightage, 10%. And it is a only subjective term. All other are very objective. You must have a concrete proof for each and every data that you submit. It is not just, because transparency is there. You are putting on the website. The whole world can see all your data, all your claim. At any point of time, a check is possible, audit is possible. Now, if there is any discrepancy, then you are subject to various disciplinary actions. That's a different story altogether. So all those are very objective, because very clear what that we have to submit and what proof that we should have. It is very clear. So we cannot deviate, very objective. Whereas this is the only parameter where the perception, how our institution is seen by others, from the eyes of stakeholders, various stakeholders, how my institution is looked upon. That is taken, and it's very important, because that speaks in volume. The perception of others speaks in volume. That gives me an insight. Now, do you have enough brand image, and how I could really enhance my brand image? So that aspect is taken into account. So this will not happen all of a sudden. Institutions which have a long track record, long standing, years of standing, have a greater perceptual scores. That's what you can see. So there's a perfect correlation, positive correlation between long years of standing and high scores of perception. And these perceptions are collected on a survey mode from employers, and also employers of from corporate and industry world, and peer academics from other institutions, faculty members, on purely a survey basis. And public perception is taken, a window is open, anyone can log in and just register with the email ID and give a ranking, a kind of feedback. And those feedbacks you will receive also. So this is the kind of parameter called perception, and it is collated and it's given just nowadays even media ranking follow the same format, a kind of perceptual score for ranking as well. So this is a data capturing template This is how we have to give a data. Whatever I've explained, you can see the field for just fixing the data and on all the parameters. How much capital expenditure last 3 years, similarly operational expenses, and how much facilities that you have. And if you look at here, this template, now you can see how many admitted in the first year, how many passed in each program, you can see here. And how many placed, and how many gone for higher education, and what is the median salary. Similarly here, how many from other state, how many from outside the state, and also outside country, and how many are economically backward, how many are socially backward. A very clear explanation available how you have to divide group into these categories, and also full tuition fee. It is not partially you are providing financial assistance. How many students are getting completely free of tuition fee exemption from government, from institution, from other sources, and how many not getting. All this data to be given. And it is all subjected to the parameters, and based on that, the scores are given. And that's how the entire framework is working as a barometer of quality by different stakeholders. So once this is announced, the government is really at ease to find who are eligible for benefits, more autonomy. Employer can simply take this reference for sourcing the talents, choosing the institute to go for campus placement. Parents and prospective students can easily finalize their dream institution for their career, one's career. And faculty members can decide for their employment opportunity where they should move. Foreign institutions can identify which are the institutions with which they can collaborate. And financial institutions and investors can easily identify institutions to be given for a loan or financial assistance at better rate of interest. And there are preferential options for investment in various projects of the institute. And for alumni, now this brand image keep them and engage them very actively. So these are the advantages, my dear professors. If we subject ourselves with this framework, we are at the age of a competitive advantage, and we are able to attract students for enrollment. More demand ratio is possible. Campus placement effortlessly will happen because our outcome speaks in volume. Our graduation outcome speaks in volume. Our standing speaks in volume. So the employer is ready to come to our campus to provide campus placement with high package. And it becomes a word of mouth kind of advertising. Our institutional reputation will ever grow. And now this ranking is also taken into account for various media ranking. That's why you can see there is a kind of some association between NIF ranking and India Today ranking and other media ranking, weekly magazine ranking, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the advantages that we have. How much time can I take? Am I exceeding my time?
Sir, another 5 to 10 minutes should be fine, sir.
Okay, fine. So I'll wrap up in another 5 minutes. So this slide I have prepared. Now I'm not going to explain it. Whatever I explained with the parameter and strategies. And some of the top 10 institutions you can take from the website. In NRF, all the years the list is available. Take a top 10 institutions. And also from the NAC website, you take all the institutions of A+, A++ category. You will find all these features, characteristics, kind of advantage points they possess. So that's what I just present. You can see at the curriculum level, it is also robust with the flexibility. Pedagogy is very vibrant. and students endowed with different kinds of competencies, good student internship and placements. Now there is a diverse background is there. PhD holders are more and guides are more. Very impressive infrastructure, vibrant linkages has been developed. And there is a governance in place, very good governance in place in the form of conducting meetings regularly and document them. Various awards constantly given by the institution to the teachers to encourage them to do more research, quality output. Their websites and their ERP and the e-governance, very high, perfection and proficiency level. Excellence in activities are meaningful. There is active alumni association, and faculty always on the track of going for upgrading their qualification. Bridge course regularly conducted for students, remedial programs conducted, so students accompaniments taken care, and students organize various activities, student representatives in the administration level, and we can say our participation in various levels in the ranking framework and the NAC accreditation is always very regularly done. So I would like to conclude this way, dear professors. The first, that's why I started in this way. One is prepare yourself for ranking framework. That's very easy. Sensitize yourself, first strategy. Second one, take the data template, start collecting the data for last 3 years for all the data capturing requirements, and have a thorough analysis, submit. That's it. And document all the supporting proof, keep it ready for auditing at any time. That's a one level of preparation for just getting to subjecting yourself in the ranking framework. But what is needed is before that, create a system taking care of all these benchmarking indicators, starting from Bloom's taxonomy, attempting cognitive development, affective development, psychomotor development of our students at various level of cognitive developments suggested by Bloom's taxonomy, because that will give us a good curriculum framework, and that will assure a perfect alignment between our methodologies, content, assessment and evaluation tools, so that graduation outcomes, attainment of outcomes will become possible. That is, I would say, the foremost strategy you have to start. And once that is done, you have a goal, periodically meet and see whether you are achieving on those lines, have a right team for each and every parameters and the criterion that we have for both the ranking and assessment accreditation. And very important things, have a automated process in place so that data collection, collation becomes very easy. And if we do it, then definitely we can deliver. That's our ultimatum. It is not only getting ranked at high level, accredited with the A++, but we as an institution can nurture humanistic values. Bridge the gap. Our students will become the agents of social change. Our institution will become the agent of social change. So to bridge the gap between haves and have-nots, caring for the environment and contributing to the mitigation of global warming, responsible use of technology with a focus on ethical values is a need of the hour, nurturing mutual respect between genders is a need of the hour today, and upholding justice and courage to question and challenge wrongdoing is right now very much needed. And our contribution to the whole society will become to build scientific temper, to root out blind beliefs. Then we serve as an institution, as an individual, as a professor, as one of the players in higher education in the great country, transmitting civilization from one generation to another with a significant value addition in terms of solving and resolve issues of our planet and helping the students to understand the meaning of his and her life in terms of their role in ever evolving cosmic drama. So this is what that I have. I have developed this presentation based on these references. I'm ready for taking a few questions. Feel free to send your feedback to my mail, xavierandraj@loyolacollege.edu. I hope now my intervention served the purpose. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you. Over to the organizers.
Thank you, sir. With your permission, I would like to have few questions from the participants. Anybody?
Sure. Please.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. This is Srikala from St.Ann's College for Women. Very nice, and thank you, sir, for being here on our invitation. Sir, and we had good insights into the parameters of NIRF. Sir, in the perception parameter, that perception is taken from the institution and supplied to NIRF, or they take the perception from the stakeholders, like NAC?
They take from the stakeholders. Initially, I remember they asked us to give the list of employers, and also they had a system of getting the feedback from the faculty, from the students of the institution, alumni, like that. But later they changed. They directly approach on a survey basis of various peer academicians and also faculty members from other institutes. And general public also, the portal is open to log in and provide the feedback. So it is absolutely done by them.
Okay.
And it is taken ranking with a minimum weightage of 10%.
But we have to provide the data for that.
Sometimes they may ask the list of employers, but they can tap directly some sources of the contact list, and they will contact and they will supply the list of institutions and they will ask us to rank, and that feedback is taken into account.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for answering our queries. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Xavier for accepting our invitation and being a part of this two-day national webinar and sharing his expertise with us. This session really packed with information and innovation on various parameters of NIRF. Thank you, sir. As a token of gratitude on behalf of IQAC St.Ann's College for Women, we would like to present a virtual memento. Sir, please do accept our memento.
Sure,
Thank
sure.
you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, and looking forward to collaborate with your institution, if at all anything possible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all once again. I now request Ms. Poppy Devinath, IQAC member, to take over technical session 4. Over to you, Ms. Poppy.
Thank you, Raj ma'am.
Welcome.
Good morning to you all. A warm and hearty welcome each one of you. I am Ms. Poppy, Director of Center for Women's Studies, St.Anne's College, and IQAC member. On behalf of St.Anne's College, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to second day of webinar, Technical Session 4, Academia Industry Collaboration for Improved Graduation Outcomes. It is our privilege to have you with us today. We all know that the one question every parent asks admission counselor during the college search process is, will my child be able to get a job after they graduate? At the heart of this question, it's not only parental concern for the child's future well-being, but the need to ensure that this education has value. Or put the question more simply, does college provide its graduate with a strong return on their investment? The answer should be yes. This is what NIRF, another parameter. Today, technical session 4 will highlight on graduation outcomes, which is a parameter of NIRF ranking. To enlighten us with this topic, we have with us our eminent speaker, Sri Veera Reddy. It is my privilege to introduce our guest, Sri Veera Reddy. He is the Vice President and Global Head of HR for Signity, and he is responsible for employee lifecycle events, talent management, HR and employee relation, performance management, L&D, global migration, immigration, diversity, and inclusion, and cultural transformation. He works closely with CEO, BU heads, and delivery heads in implementing HR projects, HR policies, and procedures, and complementing the organization strategy through people's processes. He also ensures HR compliance on all legal aspects and takes care of employee satisfaction. An Air Force veteran, experienced HR leader with over 18 years of experience, with expertise spanning across talent, leadership, engagement, M&A, CNB, L&D performance, management, organization capability, HR technology, implementation and recruitment in IT and services industry in organizations like Genpact, Wipro, and Indian Air Force. He holds a master's degree in business administration from Kakatiya University and has done his PG program in management from IIM Indore. Mr. Veera loves to spend time with kids, an advocate and of environment, corporate social responsibility, and diversity at workplace. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thanks for the warm introduction.
In St.Ann, it is a tradition to welcome our guest with green sapling. We welcome you, sir, with virtual green greeting.
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful tradition, and I hope we will get back to the real life world very soon and then carry home those saplings. So, yeah. So first of all, I would like to thank everyone on this forum for inviting me or having me on this platform to discuss few details about industry-academia collaboration. And while I would say I'm not an expert, I will share whatever I know. And then I would also like to learn things from you all. You all have to pardon me. I'm unable to switch on my video because I'm taking the call from outside, had a personal exigency in the night, so had to take this call from outside. So pardon me for that. And I hope that's not a inconvenience for all of you. So let me start sharing my presentation. Can you all see my presentation now?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay, great. So first of all, a disclaimer. These are all, there are some facts that I've collected from internet. There are some details that are general in nature, not necessary sentence has to fall in that criteria, or for that matter, not necessary it has to directly reflect on this organization. However, these are some of the experiences that I've had from my close to 12 years of corporate experience, and then what I've learned over here. Okay, so as Ms. Poppy Devinath introduced me, I started my career with Indian Air Force. I worked there for 6 years as a short service commissioned officer. Retired after completion of my initial term, and then joined the corporate world after doing a PG program from IIM Indore. So since then, I've been very closely working with academic institutions. I was part of Wipro. I was part of Genpact before Signity, and then now I'm with Signity. These are the three organizations that I work with. However, I'm a regular person to visit these campuses, be it for guest lectures, be it for guiding or counseling the students, or for that matter, to get into some of the discussions with the bodies like NASCOM or National Skill Development Institute to work on some of the, or bridge some of the gaps between industry and academia. So I feel I can add few valuable points through this forum. And if you find it useful, it'll be great. And if I can learn some of the aspects from this session and through questions or through your suggestions, it'll be great. And I want to make it an interactive discussion. And also I want to apologize for keeping it brief. I'll be keeping the session brief because I've as I said, I've come out and then had to cut short some of the things. So I had to log in into this call as a commitment I had given to the organization. So I'm just taking that in. So pardon me for that. So getting into the session, so these are some of the facts that I've collected over a period of time, and nothing is real-time data. It is slightly dated, 2 years back information. Some of the information, like according to NASSCOM, each year over 3 million graduates and postgraduates are added to Indian workforce. That may be much higher now. And the point about MNCs find 25% of Indian engineers and management graduates employable. See, we are talking about only 25% of the graduates are employable by one of the survey conducted by McKinsey, which is a very scary outcome, right? If you are training 100 people, only 25 people are employable is a scary thing. So that's a concern. While the 25 would have moved to 30 or 20, I don't know how it is, how the needle moved, but definitely that's a concern. Unless it is in the range of 70 to 80%, I feel that's a big concern for the industry. And another factor I want to draw your attention to is at present, about 53% of employed youth. I mean, I'm speaking of the employed youth, people who have already been employed in the organizations like IT, manufacturing, pharma, and other companies. They still lack some skill or some element of growth in their personal level within that organization. They lack those skills to grow because they've been employed. However, because it's only 25% that is employable, so there'll be other 25% or 30% people who will get employed because there is a scarcity of growth. So even from people who are employed, there's close to 53% people who suffer from some gap in skill to perform their job. So that's a big concern again. And other facts are like just facts that are reflected on the sheet, just for us to introspect and then look into. Since I represent ITES, I've added one more point on that, stating only 25% of technical graduates and 10 to 15% of other graduates are considered employable by the ITES segments. Again, when I speak of employable, that does not necessarily give a reflection of the number of jobs being offered. Let me be very candid on that. It is the industry may be hiring more people, but the point that I'm trying to draw your attention here is stating that while they are employed, they may not be really employable. The industries have to next put in efforts, train these resources, or put some kind of efforts to upskill them to make sure that they deliver to the desired levels. So with that kind of a understanding given, I just want to draw a paradigm to the, sorry for this, a paradigm to what colleges teach versus what students absorb versus what industry wants. The biggest gap, because of which there are challenges in your graduation outcomes, there are challenges in your placements, there are challenges in employment for the industry. So the industry expects skills basically which are employable, whereas the academia teaches curriculum that is designed by central universities and education bodies, which has been designed significantly in longer periods of time. It doesn't get reviewed or revised as regularly as industry wants. Most of the knowledge is theoretical because the way the academia or the current education system is designed, even till about post-graduation, I see that the design of the curriculum is mostly theoretical. While there are changes that are happening as we see over last decade, but the change is still insignificant for the industries to consider that it is changed a lot. Colleges also teach tried and tested ways of getting a white collar job. They prepare people for interviews. They prepare people for how to get into a job with respect to one or two parameters that they understand, and they also help the students students with strategies to compete in the competitive environment. However, that is pretty much not everything that a student absorbs from there. A student in general, at least at a undergraduate level, thinks that a degree is sufficient to get a job. That's why everybody who get into an engineering college thinks that post 4 years completion, or maybe everybody gets into a BCom after 3 years of completion, they feel that they will get a job with which they can take care of their home finances or their personal money needs. However, that is really unrealistic with the kind of education system that we have. Only very few people, that is, I just told 25% of people may be really employable, and then maybe close to 30 to 40% people may get jobs in the first year of graduating out of those colleges. Students also set very unrealistic expectations in terms of salary, timing, and mobility for themselves. So when I speak of unrealistic expectations, the colleges, when they speak about placements, they publish the highest salary that an employee, that a student would have got. You go to any institutes for that matter, be it ISB, be it IITs or IIMs, they all publish the highest gross salary that they would have offered as a great success. But nobody publishes the lowest salary that they've offered to the people. And the unfortunate reality is that is where most of the students fall into, right? A lot of people don't get the above average salaries. There are a lot of people who get below average salaries as well. And then that is where it averages out to whatever the average salary is. And similarly, students in the initial stages of their career, they don't prepare themselves for being mobile, moving to different places. They feel they want to be in their comfort zones, etc. So that also acts as a very big deterrence for an industry partner to provide jobs to these people. And as I said, knowledge earned from a degree is sufficient to survive in corporate world is another myth that students always live in. And then when they go into the corporate world, is then they realize that there is huge gap. So while this is what the industry, the colleges teach, and then students observe, what does industry want really? Industry really, while the skills are mandatory, while the minimum requirements that are there through the curriculum is required, industry looks for an attitude, a work attitude from an individual. Strong analytical and listening skills and communication skills. That's one of the most important category or criteria in any interview that an industry partner looks for from a student. They look whether a person is a team player or a collaborative in approach in general. So how would they be able to assess all of this? Let's say, how would I, in an interview of 15 minutes or 30 minutes, be able to assess if a person is motivated, committed, or dedicated? If a person is a team player or a collaborative player? If a person has basic understanding of some of the business processes and has the capability to learn and unlearn? How do I assess? This happens through some of the programs that university or the college conducts. That is very important here for all of you to understand. There will be university level events, college level events. There'll be seminars that that would have happened and the individual would have participated. There would be some groups that have been created in-house, and then these people would have been part of those groups. Like, let's say a simple example, maybe goes back to schooling days, but mock parliament, which is a famous thing that is in almost all the international schools these days, is a mock parliament. They make sure that people get elected and then people represent their constituencies and then participate. So what that in turn helps the students is to understand the reality of life, though it is in a sample environment, though it is in a different way, they at least learn the realities or intricacies of some of those discussions. So we in our interviews also look into some of these aspects. So that's where industry obviously tries to understand whether a college is providing these kind of opportunities for the individual who is coming out. If the answer is yes, then definitely the number of placements from that college would go up significantly. And another point is about the skills that we are training in the colleges. Are they going to help the end customer? See, the industry, especially the ITS industry, works with a central pivot of end customer as the most important person. End customer in most of our cases may not be somebody whom I am directly servicing. I may be supporting a company which is supporting the end customer. So how well an individual can support that end customer, think of that end customer and then deliver is very important aspect for me. So how is industry preparing them for looking at the overall picture of the environment, taking care of all the stakeholders, and then try to deliver what is desired out of him or her to the end customer. So that is very important. So these are the things that industry looks into. And if you even look into the word map, the attitude, optimism, all of these things come priority against the skills that an individual earns from the school through education or regular curriculum that they have. So there is a need to bridge this gap. There is a need to bridge the gap between an industry and academia. Industry obviously looks for market-aligned courses. Industry looks for developed skilled manpower. Industry looks for solutions for their concerns. And industry also looks for an operational approach in which they can help deliver to their end customer. Obviously, academia has their own expectations, which are like funding and infrastructure that they need to do all of this, equal partnerships with the industry, placements, guaranteed placements, and then obviously feasible goals. So these two, none of these expectations can be achieved in isolation. Industry cannot build market aligned courses in isolation and then cannot expect the academia to develop skilled manpower without they partnering with the academia. And likewise, academia needs support in terms of placements, in terms of funding and infrastructure, or for that matter, helping them develop some of the course curriculum, etc. So I would actually like to take one example here. 4 to 5 years back, somewhere around 2015-16 period, AP state government has worked in skill development along with help of NASCOM. So wherein they called in industry people as well as academicians and then put them into a closed conference room along with the Honorable Secretary of State for the AP government. And then they have asked them to bridge some of these gaps over a period of 3 to 6 months through some interventions between both the parties. While obviously it's a huge ask, it's a big ask, but we work together, try to create some of the changes that we can, and try to create some of the expectations between both the parties, and then work together. So the aspects that we created were obviously the course curriculum has been completely created in consultation with industry, which helped industry to put forward their needs. Like a sub example that I want to give is today we go for testing software testing skills to a finished school. Pardon me, I'm from IT, so I'm giving an example from the IT background. Wherein after completing engineering, a student goes into a finishing school, which is like Talent Sprint or some. There are many such schools. So they teach in the skills that are required for the industry, or that are required specifically for my organization to absorb. And then they teach them, and we also go and do those sessions from our organization point of view. And then we take those candidates once they complete those courses successfully. So what it does is it gives a skilled manpower which can be put in front of a customer from day one. For me, that is the most important aspect, because if I'm actually ending up spending time by paying salaries to an individual in training, I will lose out on obviously margins and I will also lose out on time to deliver to the customer. So these finishing schools are helping me. But my challenge was, why can't we actually have those finishing school curriculum embedded into the main school curriculum or main college curriculum, and ensure that they train these things, and then build an MOU with the industry, build an MOU with some of the corporate partners, and then let them come and teach those skills. If the college cannot build that infrastructure of trainers or teachers or professors around these subjects, let the industry come forward and then deliver those guest lectures to ensure that the individuals are skilled enough to take up the jobs on day one of their placement into the corporate world. So that's very important. So that's what we tried to bridge through that intervention. but that is one-off intervention that I've seen over last 7 to 8 years. I feel such kind of interventions are required. It is not just the industry and the colleges that have to come together. It is the government which governs the entire curriculum has to come together and then try to drive these changes. And maybe industry bodies like NASCOM and others should participate big time in getting this done. Because today, with the pandemic, if you have seen the effects of pandemic on industry, one of the biggest challenge that we are facing today is the huge exodus of skilled manpower, attrition. So attrition has always been a challenge for industry. However, with the pandemic, it has increased multifold. What is happening in organizations like Infosys, TCS, and Wipro, where they used to run in sub 12% attrition numbers on an annualized basis. Infosys is actually reporting a 24% attrition for Hyderabad center in this quarter. So which is like double the attrition. So the people are leaving and joining other companies. And the same is the case with other companies also. Everywhere people are moving. Why is this happening? Because there is a huge gap between demand and supply. How did pandemic affect this change? It is because of the offshoring of requirements. So earlier, US people used to have some of the requirements to be worked out of US alone, and likewise for the European countries also. But with this pandemic, everybody is working from home, so they don't see a difference when it is being worked out of a home in Atlanta versus anybody working out of Hyderabad. So the gap between a person working in US versus working in India has actually gone out. So they are ready to offshore those requirements to India, and they are sending more and more work to India, which in turn is resulting in talent war within IT companies within, be it in Hyderabad, Bangalore, or for that matter, the boundaries of location have anyways gone out. So we are, as we speak today, hiring people from Kochi, Bangalore, Noida, or for that matter, Kolkata as well, whereas we are a very, very focused Hyderabad-centric company. So that change is something that pandemic has enabled, because of which there is a huge gap in the supply and demand. And somehow the academia is unable to provide or bridge that gap. It is being fulfilled by the existing resources only. We are trying to fight amongst ourselves as companies, and literally feeling helpless in that situation, because I'm hiring from the same company that is hiring people from my organization. So had it been a case wherein if I have more resources coming out of academia during this situation, obviously it's not a situation that we have seen ahead of time. It is a very unfortunate incident that has happened. However, we were not ready. We were not ready as industry, as academia, as a nation. We were not ready for this kind of a change. So if we don't bag, even within next 1 to 2 years, if we don't try to make the most out of this change, most of these requirements or the billing positions will go out of India. They will go to US, they will go back to US, or they will go back to UK, or they will go to other developing countries like Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, etc., and China for that matter. So if that happens, then we will lose out on huge potential to grow in the IT/ITES industry over next 2 to 3 years. So that's a huge impact that we have as a group here, right? I know we are only talking about one college or maybe few colleges here, but if everybody comes together and develops a bridge between these two institutions, and then tries to build that gap, it'll be or bridge that gap, it'll be a great story. And then we can go back and then provide skilled resources to the corporate world, and then help deliver in their services better, and in turn help the Indian economy grow. So I'm not focusing on the graduation outcomes. If you see, graduation outcomes are a sub result of the conversation that I'm talking about. Definitely, yes. If you give skills from an industry point of view to the students, definitely they'll become more employable, more skilled. If you help academia build their infrastructure, etc., they will become more robust, and then they can deliver better results. And likewise, there'll be better placements. However, the larger thing at stake, the society, the economy is at stake. If we don't act quickly and if we don't do things right, we may not be able to sustain. The entire sustainability aspect comes into picture here. So we all have to work together and enable that piece. So that's all I had for the session today. And if there are any questions, anything quickly I can take on.
Yes, sir. In the chat box, we have some questions.
Okay.
What is the appropriate duration required for a student to complete finishing school?
So it depends on the skill that we are talking about in a finishing school. It may be 3 months to 6 months. Some technologies may not be, finishing schools may not be able to provide some technologies like a full stack developer for that matter. It's something that has to be obtained through a long-term program, whereas a tester or a Java, .NET developer, etc. can be learned within 3 to 4 months. So it depends on the specific skill that they're learning. There's no single timeline for any of these programs, but generally it is 3 to 4 months.
I'm sorry. Poppy, I have something to ask.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Sir, this is Srikala from St. Anne's College.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. How are the prospects for the full stack trainers who got trained in the full stack programming skills?
Trainers, there'll be a lot of prospects actually. The challenge with training as an industry, in the IT sector at least, has become a big issue for us because we don't find trainers available in the market.
Okay.
People want to do customer service, they don't want to do training. And those who want to do training, they want to do freelancing. So today I have 3 requirements for a full stack or regular trainers in the IT space. I'm searching for those profiles for last 3 months. Either they're far too expensive or they're not available. They're not available for a full-time employment. So that is another challenge. There are very few trainers who are available to train these courses.
But if the students get trained in that, is it that they get good packages? Again, the question what was asked by students.
Definitely, yes, ma'am. So full stack, see technology is a very fascinating thing. It changes almost on a daily basis. So currently the full stack piece definitely has a lot of demand. And then once an individual understands a full stack development kind of a concept, be it in Java, .NET or any other area, they will definitely be able to morph themselves into a new technology as the technology progresses. So yeah, being a full stack developer will definitely give them that additional advantage.
Can we depend on the institutes like NIIT and all who are coming forward to offer these full stack training programs to the students? I mean, are they of good quality?
The challenge, you are speaking about a BCom or a BSc graduate doing such kind of course?
Yes, because I come from a college of that.
Correct. So that also has to come with the blessings from some of the industry partners. If you do standalone, I may not look at a person who is a BCom to do my full stack developer role. So if I have to do that, I should know that you are giving such kind of a training. I should work or partner with you and then come back and take those resources. That is the only way you can manage that. Otherwise, if you do it standalone, then they may not be employed by any of the industry partners.
Though time is running away, one last question as an academician. We are always talking about the in graduation outcomes, how is the employability, okay? And these programs have been designed, as you said, long back, and very few revisions have been done. And also these programs have been designed to promote the research aptitude among the students.
Correct.
So as an industry expert, would you suggest to have programs like separately for who are looking out for employability or employment after graduations and who wants to pursue higher academics? Do you
so it's a very interesting dichotomy, right? So if you look at student aspirations, 90% of them want a job after graduation. Whereas the industry is only preparing them for higher education or some kind of research. Research may not provide job to everybody. So while research is very important.
Not immediately, it's a long-term process.
Yeah. So to your question, straightforward answer is yes, ma'am. Definitely yes. We need to create separate channels through which we make people employable post-graduation, because that is where people look at 15 to 16 years of education as a long term, and then they feel like that is the area, that is the time when they need to get into jobs to take care of themselves, to take care of other requirements. So otherwise they feel they are left out. So somehow it's a social stigma which carries still in India. So we need to definitely cater to that audience and then build some employable courses during this phase.
Thank you so much, sir, for being so patient and taking up the questions. Poppy, thank you.
We have some questions, sir. What is the role of teachers in filling this gap?
Okay, so teachers alone cannot fill this gap for sure, but they play the most important role. Teachers, obviously, I'm assuming it is academicians as a whole. They can help in bridging that gap between industry. They can call people from industry to have some tie-ups with them, make sure they deliver. Like I'll take a small example. In Wipro, when I was in Wipro from 2008 to 2016, we used to go to colleges in Bangalore and then set up labs, mostly engineering colleges, but we used to set up computer labs there. And then in those labs, they used to be manned by Wipro employees. We used to teach people in computer sciences inside the college campus by installing Wipro laptops and manpower. So obviously that did not start from Wipro as a thought process, right? It started from college. Somebody from college reached out and said that if we can do this, I'll give you a room, I'll give you a provision, and then I'll include your course in my curriculum. Then it turned out to be a great success, and then we have been hiring from that college almost every year, close to 30 to 40 people since then. So that's a huge success for both, and obviously it has been initiated by a teacher. So I'm just telling one example. There may be many such things. Even if there is no tie-up because of various reasons, they can understand, they can participate in some of the industry forums like NHRD and NASCOM, CII, etc., and then try to gain some of these insights and then deliver those during their course curriculum. If that can be done, obviously that is out of turn. We can't expect too much of a magic from there. But if that can be done, that will also help bridge some of the gaps.
Yes, sir. So another question, it's industry prefer postgraduate students as intern than UG students.
So then that was the case. See, there are each role requirements, right? If I'm looking at a management trainee or a team member who has to lead a team of people, etc., I would go for a management graduate, postgraduate in management. But if you look at companies like Deloitte, Wells Fargo, or all these banks that we have in Hyderabad, they all are hiring graduates for their tax business, for their consulting or audit business. They take them, they train them, and then they coach them. So I don't think that is a big concern as is, but definitely yes, that number of companies that are offering such kind of opportunities for graduates are less. So that needs to go up, either engineering graduates or they look for BCom graduates only from limited colleges. I'm sure Deloitte hires big time from St.Ann's also. I can vouch for it because my wife also works in Deloitte and she is passed out from St.Ann. So yeah, so that is not a big concern now, I would say. It's still there. The requirements are still there for graduates also, but it is only up to the organizations to find the right college and for the colleges to find the right organization at times.
Okay, thank you, sir. One more question is there. Can we convince industry to provide 100% internship?
Okay, so internships is very difficult actually, because you are talking about internship for a temporary period, and companies invest a lot of money on internship, and then it has to have some result, and then they cannot get any result from an individual within 3 to 6 months. So generally what happens, what is happening right now is there is something called apprenticeship that the central government has started, right? And which is actually slight variation from the internship, but that is going to take over because it is being mandated by the central government for all the industries to have apprenticeship and then take at least 15 to 20% of manpower through apprenticeship program. So that is pretty much the same like what we used to have as internship, but it may happen post their completion of graduation. And then for 1 year, they have to provide that internship assess them, judge them, and then take them into the roles if possible, like what used to happen in manufacturing industry earlier days. So that's the same thing that is being incorporated in ITES as well. So that may take over. Internship is very difficult, I would still say, but apprenticeship may take over in the days to come.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I know there are other questions. If at all there are questions that are coming across, you can. Shrikala ma'am has my mail ID. If you all share those questions, I can respond and then get back to you all with the answers.
Sure, sir.
Okay. So on behalf of St. Anne's College, I would like to thank our guest, Mr. Veera Reddy, for taking your precious time in spite of having your personal emergency today and consenting to be the guest of today's webinar. And thank you for enlightening us on interview skills and industry expectation and finishing skills and all. To improve graduation outcomes. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us time today.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was indeed my pleasure. Thanks for being having me on this forum.
Please accept this virtual memento as a token of appreciation, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us time today. Thank you, everyone. I would like to request Ms. Aparna Bulusu, ma'am, to take over the session.
Thank you, Poppy. Once again, a very good morning to everybody. Although we are still within the same session, still I would consider it my privilege to welcome you all once again towards this valedictory session of this national webinar on the role of ranking frameworks in quality enhancement of higher educational institutions. Our keynote speaker set the perfect tone yesterday when he said that irrespective of our personal beliefs, ranking and accreditation frameworks are here to stay, and getting ourselves prepared would definitely lead to a much better improvement in the quality of our educational institutions overall. We hope that you all have had some very good insights and takeaways from all the talks by our eminent resource persons. I now deem it my privilege to welcome our guest of honor today, Dr. Radhe Srinivasan, who's a very well-known face at St. Anne's, the controller of examinations at our institution, to deliver the valedictory address. I would like to first briefly present a small profile of ma'am. Although we all know her to be a very hardworking and charming lady, this is more about her professional achievements. Dr. Radhe is a teacher by choice and not by chance, and she has over 36 years of very rich teaching experience. She has pursued her MSc Physics with a specialization in electronics and an MPhil in electronics from Bharatidasan University. She's had many administrative responsibilities, some of which include being the head of the computer science department, the head of the Department of Physics and Electronics, the coordinator for the ICT Center, Dean Academics and IQAC coordinator, as well as autonomy coordinator. Currently, she's the controller of exams at our college since we have taken up the autonomous status in 2015. She also lends her skills in a number of committees like the governing body, academic council, steering committee, also in charge of designing the curriculum and development of the examination frameworks. One of her best achievements towards St. Anne's has been that she has contributed towards the development of all the software necessary for the automation of the examination system for the entire college, which is not a small task. Lots and lots of hard work over a lot of years actually has gone into creating this system. Dr. Radhe is also the recipient of many awards, some of which include the Global Peace Award for her contribution in the field of education. She also has an honorary doctorate degree conferred by the University of South America. And most recently, she was awarded the State Award for Meritorious Teachers by the Government of Telangana for the year 2020. Ma'am, we welcome you once again with our virtual green greetings. Hopefully, we'll make it real greetings soon when we all meet back at college. So it's over to you, ma'am, for the valedictory address.
Thank you, Aparna, and thank you, IQAC, for such a good introduction. And I hope the screen is visible and my
Yes, ma'am.
voice is audible.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yeah. I begin with my warm greetings to all the participants and my heartfelt thanks to our principal, Dr. Sister Amrita, the patron for this webinar, and Dr. Smita Asthana, the convener, Ms. Srikala, the coordinator, Ms. Rajeshwari, the co-coordinator, and all the vibrant members of IQAC for inviting me as guest of honor for today's session. I really consider it as an honor for me, and I'm overwhelmed because you all know it is my home pitch, and I hope at least I will not go duck out, if not hit many sixes. And when I was about to talk, I felt some contradiction in science. Yes, science says the human brain starts developing and functions continuously right from the child starts in the wombs of the mother. But now, just a previous few minutes back, it suddenly stopped working for me when I looked at the participants who are very, very eminent and my fellow speakers who were really had given very highlight talks. Anyway, my talk will go on these lines. I begin congratulating our IQAC because IQAC at St.Ann is solely responsible for many initiatives with respect to quality matters. They initiates, instigates, plans, coordinates various activities related to quality impartment, and hence they create a quality-oriented educational environment. Even for this activity, I no doubt every individual of St.Ann are the part of this quality enhancement. But I remember being physicist, I remember Newton's law. Unless there is an external force, a moving body will keep on moving, a stationary object will keep on at rest. So somebody should be there to guide us, force us to do certain things in the right direction. That is what IQAC at St.Ann, and I congratulate them for all their activities. And even at this particular point of time, they have chosen a right topic of role of ranking frameworks in quality enhancement in higher educations, which is the need of an hour. NAC accreditation is going on one line, and this NIRF ranking is needed for higher education institutions so that what we are doing in the college, what is the quality of the college will be well known by all parts of our country as well as outside the country. So the eminent speakers of yesterday and today, Dr. Prashant Nair, who spoke on best practices for international national ranking, gave a sufficient input for us. And same way, Dr. Kamala Rani, impact of teaching, learning resources on ranking frameworks, and gave us information how to enhance the resources. And Dr. Chitra spoke on the citations and publications and clarified many of our doubts aptly. And today, Dr. Xavier, who spoke on the strategic approach to NIRF, it was really excellent. And Mr. Veera Reddy just now, who spoke on academia-industry collaborations for improved graduation outcomes. And all these inputs on various topics finally concluded for me like ranking help us to understand ourselves better. That's the first point I understood. And we need to prepare our students to meet the global standards, and academic excellence, peer perception are very much needed for ranking accreditation. And today morning, barometer for quality by stakeholders were pointed out very well by Dr. Xavier. And bridging the gap between academia and industry was pointed out many a times by Mr. Veera Reddy, which we have to work on. And ranking accreditation awards will automatically take an institution to the global educational standards. So at all these levels, for all these topics, we received valid inputs. And in fact, the talk went on this way, right from the fundamental level, what NIRF is, from that level till how to reach the tips for reaching the global standards. I hope all the participants will take away all these tips and collaborate in your institution when you prepare for NIRF. I hope you will be contributing maximum for the preparation. And after all this technical aspect, when I wanted to say my message during this session, I thought, why can't we reach this ranking through PIRF? This is a new perception. It is. What is PIRF? Personal Individual Ranking Format. This is for self-evaluation and reflection. Because if you reflect on self, then self-growth will mandate it. And what is PIRF and what we need to do, I will come to it in the next slide. But first I will see, why do we have to evaluate self and why should we bother about self-improvement? Because I visualize an institution is not an individual entity. Institution involves students, faculty, management, and of course, there are many other stakeholders, but student, management, faculty are having inseparable bonding. What I mean by this is, in an institution, when there are n number of faculty, each one's contribution matters a lot. Mathematically, they all get integrated and makes an institution to reach the final growth. Our individual achievements matters for management, and the same way individual management success speaks for the faculty. So what we are today in the society, basically mainly because that we work for such an institution. So how institution is important to us, the same way faculty is important to management, and management and faculty are equally important for the students' growth. So this bond is inseparable. So when you want to reach the global standard, every stage and everyone should reach a higher level in quality achievement. Therefore, I thought if we improve on these parameters, which I call it as PIRF, the parameters I identify for personal individual ranking format, I say picture. When you improve the picture, self picture, definitely it will lead automatically the better way we can prepare for NIRF. The first P stands for passion for profession, and interest for innovation, curious for commitment, talent for teaching, understanding the need or needy, rapport to reflect, enthusiasm for excellence. I identify personally, these are the parameters we need, because if you are passionate, then automatically the contribution or the work, what you do for the institution, for students, it will overcome all constraints. We won't bother about whether the time is over, the salary is sufficient, nothing. All constraints will not come into the picture at all. You will do much more what student is needed. Innovate, that is, you need to have interest to innovate. When you have interest for teaching, automatically, every day when we go to class, then we will be thinking about how we can make the class very, very interesting, and what best way we can make this topic understood by students. Like, we'll be thinking out of box. And during any labs, a small assignment can be given, asking the students to be very inquisitive, and which slowly inculcate a research skill in students, and you will also motivate yourself to do the best. What I mean to say is, if you are passionate and interested to innovate, the students will definitely wait for your class, for your lecture hours. Also, if you are committed, then this just now, Mr. Veera Reddy said, we need to minimize the gap between academia and industry. So a committed teacher will automatically find a way to minimize this gap. As he pointed out rightly during the question and answer session, and we, out of way, we can call the industrial people to talk to our students, what the industry requires, can we provide, we can collaborate with management to provide the extra need for the students. We can shape them to get ready for the industry placement. So then, talented teacher. Any teacher is obviously will be talented, but the talent needs to be enhanced. How do we do so? Because as a teacher, though I should not admire this joke, once people used to say that teaching or lecturing is nothing but transferring the matter from the book to the classroom. This should not happen so. What a talent teacher should do, we should be able to make the students learn forever. They should be able to learn for whatever they want to know. I mean, we need to be a good mentor. It is not that we complete the syllabus, there ends our job. We need to be totally with them and understand their requirement and use technology, whatever is needed. So whatever way in multi-disciplinary approach or whatever you can do within the given time, you make your teaching well received. Also, you need to understand the students' need. Not only the students' need, the underprivileged. Underprivileged in the sense whether they are slow learners or economically backward. So when during your leisure time or you allot a time for being with the students, discuss with them what they are from the personal front. And if you develop rapport and understand what they require, you see, as an individual, we cannot provide everything. We alone cannot do everything. We need to understand and we need to be the mediator. And we need to coordinate with others so that we can reach out to the need. So this attitude, when we develop at the college level, slowly the same thing will be in our blood and we'll be able to do for the society also. So which will take care of the outreach part, whatever is needed for the NIRF or any other rank. When each individual does all these things, integrated to the institutional level, definitely for every aspect of any ranking, we will get sufficiently high data. And we need to develop rapport, good rapport, not only with students, but also with fellow colleagues and in the entire institution, so that we will be able to know better the individual and we will be having liberty to tell them that if they are doing anything wrong, we will be able to tell them that they are wrong and we can direct them to correct themselves. And also we can receive inputs from them about ourselves. So the rapport plays a very, very vital role. And finally, to do all these things, you need to be enthusiastic, obviously. If you are enthusiastic, you will be participating in any kind of event, whatever the college organizes or you organize at the departmental level, and you will motivate your students to participate in all the extracurricular activities, and which in turn makes them to get their profile well developed. So this will automatically leads towards the excellence ultimately. So at the individual level, these are all not new. Already some of us or many of us would be doing this. We will be teaching them, but little more deeper we need to go. So be passionate for your profession. Try to innovate some activity during the regular classroom, committed to bring or minimize the gap or to be with students forever. And all these things will take the excellence to its core. And the process cycle for quality and excellence, when we do all those things, is when you do that, whatever I was telling the earlier slide, it will first step improves your self profile, your picture will improve, and also it will lead to the learning resources. It will improve learning resources, and the students enjoying such a positive learning environment will be a better graduate, will be an overall developed person. So the graduate outcome will be taken care. And as an individual, everybody will be a better human. And all these things put together will definitely enhance standards. So all these things are part of NIRF ranking. So when you do at your level, during the regular classes, automatically you are collecting data for the quality and excellence update. So with this message, I conclude stating, teaching is a very noble profession that shapes character, caliber, and future of an individual. And if the people remember me as a good teacher, that will be the biggest honor for me, as PJ Abdul Kalam sir told. And remembering this, I would like to conclude my talk stating that if you get motivated, it will be a ripple. You will motivate everyone else. And if everybody is motivated, definitely activity will be more and quality will be more, and the standard of the institution will be high. And nothing is impossible. And whatever appears as stressful 1 year back will be nothing today, because nobody realized, nobody ever thought that through online, this national seminar would be possible. For more than 1.5 years, one complete academic year was done online. All such things we never expected. Also, all were become possible. Therefore, when we start doing all these things at smaller level, definitely our institutional standard will be enhanced. With these words, I congratulate all of you for participating and the organizing team for organizing such a good event. And thank you very much for your patience here.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your very inspiring and motivating words. Honestly, I think we should have something like PERF also, become like a really a new kind of an accreditation system, so that, it will help all of us do, some kind of checking on a regular basis, and then, look out for ways so that we can improve by ourselves. Ma'am, on behalf of IQAC, we'd like to, extend our gratitude to you for accepting our request, and please consider this our virtual memento.
I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Thanks, ma'am. If anybody has any questions for ma'am, you can post them in the chat box and we'll take it up. Ma'am, just one question from my side.
Sure.
What I feel is, sometimes we kind of fall off track. Any suggestions from you on how we can stay focused? Sometimes, you let all the problems kind of take over.
Yes. And it is, if you have good rapport, and remember always the saying that any off track or fallback is not permanent. This also will disappear and you will be able to do. Remember the quote that if you can control the problem, then you need not worry about the problem. At the same time, if the problem is out of your hand, even then you need not worry about the problem, because even otherwise you cannot do. So it will take its own solution. Therefore, never get discouraged, okay? And never weigh your work, especially teaching job, with respect to anything else. You feel that you are molding the society. You are creating a better human for the future society. If you have that thought, nothing will come in your way and you will get rid of such feelings.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Moving on, I would now like to invite Ms. Shrikala, Head Department of Statistics, Additional Coordinator IQAC, and also the coordinator for this national webinar, to present a brief overview of the various sessions that we have had as a part of this webinar. Ms. Shrikala, over to you.
Thank you, Aparna. At the outset, I first would like to thank all the participants here and all the resource persons as a coordinator of the program, and the resource persons who have graciously accepted our invitations and could give their best inputs for us to move towards the NIRF, to prepare for the NIRF. With this, especially the last two talks, I just prepared a brief report while listening to the speakers, and I would like to present it. If it is a bit lengthy also, please pardon me and accept it. The webinar has started by invoking the Almighty's blessings through prayer by the prayer team, Ms. Saujanya, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, and the students, Ms. Jerusha and Ms. Mahita. Then the welcome address and opening remarks were given by Dr. Sister P. Amruta, Principal, St.Ann's College for Women. She mentioned that St.Ann started its humble journey with 2 rooms and 106 students in the year 1983 and has grown to leaps and bounds and to the status of offering more than 30 programs under UG and PG with A+ grading under NAC. And she wished all the participants an enriching time in the seminar proceedings. The preamble of the seminar was given by Dr. Smita Asthana, convener of the seminar. She mentioned that NIRF is complementing to enhance the quality in HEIs. She stressed not to focus on what we cannot do, but turn around, share the best practices, and work towards the best, and everything will fall in place. Next, we had keynote address on best practices for international and national rankings. This was delivered by Dr. Prashant R. Nair, Vice Chairman, IQAC and Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore. Sir has set the stage by eliciting the background of setting up National Institutional Framework, shortly and sweetly called as NIRF. And the reason being that Indian institutions not being figured in international rankings, and one of the major reasons being that the data is not captured and presented properly in a correct dimension. And he also reiterated the statement of the then HRD Minister, Ms. Smriti Irani, while launching the NIRF. Accreditation and ranking are the 2 important tools in a movement towards the quality. NIRF is framed suitable to Indian context, suitable to the local scenario, and also the system prepares for international ranking. No ranking system is perfect, but help us to evolve better year by year. Next, Sir has presented the benefits of ranking, reputation and visibility, research and academic development, strategic planning, and globalization. All these will be implies and implied by, once you improve research and academic development, you will get reputation, visibility, globalization. Once you get reputation and visibility, again, research will increase with the form of the funding resources from outside. So all this happen hand in hand. But somewhere we have to make a beginning. While preparing for the rankings and assessments, institutions start looking inward, helping themselves to strategize. Rankings are respected across the globe and increases the inward thinking and can't be avoided. In the context of international rankings, he recollected Shakespeare's popular saying, "Web of our life is of a mingled yarn," and has mentioned that the factors are interrelated. Papers, citations, research collaborations, funding, student experience, employability, reputation, international faculty and students visiting our institutions, etc. And of course, this is skewed towards the research, but NIRF is more balanced. It focuses on teachers' quality as well, not just the research. He gave an overview of international rankings like ARW, QSWUR, and THE. He mentioned that THE, Times Higher Education, which is London-based one, is better, and we are nearer to that ranking system. All these are based more on research and perception, which are very highly subjective. He briefly presented the NIRF parameters and their weightage for the colleges. He suggested the institutions to build good infrastructural facilities, have diverse programs, maintain regional diversity among the students, scholarships to socially and economically challenged students, facilities to physically challenged students, which will improve the score. Further, he shared the 3 best practices adopted by Amrita Viswavidyalayam, which were very effective for them to improve their ranking year by year. First one is nodal office. He stressed upon that IQAC has to be proactive and serve as a nodal office. It has to take responsibility of all the rankings and assessments, collect, collate, consolidate, and submit the data whenever required, with a focus on important assessments and rankings, but not all. Next, second best practice is publication coordinator. Appointing a publication coordinator helps in ensuring that the affiliation of the research papers is correct, check plagiarism, and helps in increasing the publications. Next practice is documentation. Of course, it is very important. The data need to be supported by proper documents. Without a proper documents, it is as good as not having. Every faculty should know how to document an event or any practice what they are following. And this is the best cardinal practice according to him that has been carried out in their campus. He then took the questions and were answered appropriately. This session was moderated by Ms. Santoshi, Assistant Professor, Maths Department, and an IQAC member. Keynote session was followed by technical session 1, impact of teaching, learning, and resources on ranking frameworks. The speaker was Dr. K. Kamala Rani, Chief Academic Guidance Officer, IAE Hyderabad. She started and set the stage by saying that there is no shortcut to excellence. And when we are working towards assessments and rankings, the faculty should focus on research, not only teaching. And NIRF ranking leads to international ranking. She stressed that every institution has to strategize according to them and uniquely. Meet the stakeholders' expectations by high quality of teaching and providing safe and vibrant environment. Strong institute and industry interface by transforming the students into knowledgeable, employable, and responsible citizens of the society by making them strong in subject knowledge, suitable skill set, leadership qualities, problem-solving approach, adaptability and positive attitude, and developing professional etiquettes, etc. Focus on multidisciplinary excellence, prepare the students to meet the global needs. To achieve all these, an institutional has to make a SWOT analysis, gap analysis, and action plan to achieve the academic excellence. She also said, achieving excellence is the destination of success and is not a one-time destination or a goal, it's a continuous process. Our destinations will keep changing. Gave an overview of the new education policy 2020. That is, parameters are academic excellence, flexibility in learning, extensive use of technology in teaching and learning, world-class quality in teachers' profile, emphasis on research at college level, effective regulatory system, and offering skill-oriented courses and competency enhancement programs, and so on. This will help the mold to a student to a complete personality. She took top 5 colleges and bottom 5 colleges in 1 to 100 ranks as a case study and has explained the sub-parameter scores and discussed how one can strategize to get optimum scores. Again, stressing that the research and perception are also important parameters in maximizing the scores. Madam also has suggested an action plan to score good in NIRF by focusing on outcome-based curriculum, invest in research, good environment, and establish strong alumni support. And outreach activities have to be strengthened in a way of adopting a village and supporting them in the ways they need. Also, Madam gave some pointers for the improved rankings. Improve faculty-teacher ratio, appointment of faculty with doctoral qualification and experience, implement outcome-based learning, enhance the best teaching learning practices, enhance student satisfaction by taking student satisfaction surveys and acting upon appropriately. Madam has concluded by recollecting the message of the best teacher, none other than Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, that teaching is not a profession, but a mission, and nation's very best minds should become teachers. This session was moderated by Ms. Indira Priyadarshini, Assistant Professor, BBA Department, Management Studies, and an IQAC member. There was a lunch break between 12 to 1 and followed by technical session 2 at 1 o'clock at 1 p.m. Publications and citations, attributes for assessments and ranking frameworks. The speaker was Dr. Chitra Krishnan, Assistant Director, RAAC, Professor, School of Electronics Engineering from VIT, Chennai. Madam has taken us to the virtual tour of their website, showcasing their rankings, national and international rankings, which could be a motivating factor for all of us. And also she mentioned that she has gone through the website of St.Ann's and just told us that we can go for 3 types of rankings: overall ranking, management college ranking, and the college ranking. And Madam has presented the timeline activity calendar of NIRF. And again, Madam reiterated that growth of an educational institution lies in academic excellence and research, peer perception, awards and recognitions, ranking and accreditations. She asked us to set quality benchmarks and prepare an action plan accordingly. She also gave the history of NIRF, and she stressed on speaking about the institution among our peers to improve the perception. Research data will be taken online from third party, and Madam has detailed on this. Data captured from Scopus and Web Science with regarding the publications will be taken. Patent information of the colleges will be taken from Derwent Innovation, and this information will be shared with the respective institutions for their agreeability on the data. Madam gave deep insights into the parameter, research and professional practice. She gave all the details about citations and different metrics. And she asked the faculty to create a research profile using ORCID, that is ORCID, Google Scholar Author Google Scholar Author ID, Scopus Author ID. These creating these IDs will give you the visibility, hence citations will improve. Madam explained the factors affecting the number of citations, which are paper related, that is quality of the paper, journal related, again journal quality, and author related. Dr. Kairunisa Amreen, Assistant Professor Chemistry and IQAC member, was the moderator of the session. With this, we have come to a day 1 with the 3 sessions, and day 2, 25th June 2021, has started at 9:30 a.m. with technical session 3 on a strategic approach to NIRF excellence by Dr. A. Xavier Mahimai Raj, Associate Professor, IQAC Coordinator, Loyola College, Chennai. The day has started with prayer by Ms. Jerusha. The speaker asked the fraternity to develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills among the student community. Sir has explained the world rankings and gave a brief of NIRF parameters, explaining the sub-parameters as well. He mentioned that the managements should look into the following factors and strengthen them. Maintain ideal student-teacher ratio and see that it is never more than 1:50. Encourage the research among faculty and students. Proper utilization of financial resources via creating good infrastructural facilities. Then design an outcome-based education which improves the pass percentage, employment, salary packages, number of entrepreneurs going for higher studies, everything. So outcome-based education gives us all these positive results or outcomes which are measured in the NIRF. Then pay attention to regional diversity, number of seats allocated to specially able students and infrastructural facilities for such students. Maintain good women proportion in the institution. And he also said that perception is a subjective one, and how the stakeholders look or perceive about our institution is captured by NIRF, and we have to improve our perception. It will be collected from employers, peers, and from reputed institutions, and public perception from different stakeholders will be taken directly by NIRF. This largely depends on how the institution is performing over the years and the networking it has in the society. And again, documentation should be perfect. And he said that NIRF is a barometer of quality for stakeholders, like students, parents, faculty, employers, funding agencies, foreign institutes, etc. Hence, sensitize, strategize, prepare the documents and submit. And towards this, for this, establish an automated process for data collection, which makes the things easier and clear. He reiterated the importance of Bloom's taxonomy in teaching learning process. He concluded saying that above all the assessments and rankings, our responsibility is to nurture the younger generation with human values, and everything else will fall in place. The next session of today is Technical session 3 was moderated by Ms. Rajeshwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and an IQAC member, and the seminar co-coordinator. Technical session 4, Academia-Industry Collaboration for Improved Graduation Outcomes, was taken by Sri Veera Reddy Patlola, Vice President, Global Head of HR and Training, Signity Technologies. He mentioned that according to NASSCOM, only 25% of technical graduates and 10 to 15% of other graduates are employable. And among the employed, 50% are not up to the skill sets required to place the recruited people into a work position. They again have to upskill them to give the work. The industry looks for employable skills, but the universities are not revising the curriculum as per the change in requirement, and the curriculum is most of theoretical. Colleges are putting efforts in training the students via interview skills, communication skills, etc., but that doesn't alone help them to be employed. So it should be looked upon beyond this. There are also unrealistic expectations from the students with respect to salary, timings, mobility, and all. He made a remark that most prestigious institutions just make a mention of their highest pay package obtained by their student, but they never mention what is the lower pay package they got. So, and the students will not get that highest pay package even if they join such an institution, and their expectations will not be met. And he said what industry wants. Industry wants an attitude of analytical listening and communication skills. For this, the institutions should create an environment for the students to participate, and hence some mock sessions can be created. He gave an example of mock parliament sessions nowadays to be done are being carried out in the schools. So whether the students are developing the industry required skills and all to be followed, and this will take care of all the stakeholders. And the student should be a team player, not a lone person, and ability to study and learn at any stage of life. And he mentioned a very apt point. Academia and industry can't achieve better graduation outcomes by working in isolation. They have to work hand in hand. Towards this, build an MOU so that the industry experts come and teach the required skills, organize the events for the students to explore themselves and hone their skills. For this, the government also need to take an initiative. He suggested that instead of internships, students can take up the apprenticeship programs in industry to improve their employability skills. He gave success stories of industry intervention into academia done by him. This session was moderated by Ms. Poppy Devi Nath, Director, Center for Women's Studies, and also an IQAC member. This technical session was followed by the valedictory session, and valedictory session was taken over by Ms. Aparna, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, and again an IQAC member. This valedictory session started with the address by guest of honor, none other than our own Controller of Examinations, Dr. Radhe Srinivasan, St.Ann College for Women. Dr. Radhe reiterated all the inputs given by our esteemed and distinguished speakers about NIRF. Ma'am has shared her beautiful and motivating thoughts on achieving good ranking in NIRF, as an individual should try for PIRF, that is Personal Improvement Ranking Framework. And also she gave the pointers towards that and giving the acronym to the pointers as picture. P, professional. I, interest for innovation. C, curious for curriculum. T, talent for teaching. U, understand the needs or needy, and she differentiated between the needs and needy also. R, rapid to reflect. E, enthusiasm for excellence. Madam gave the outcomes of rankings and assessment systems as improved personal profile, learning resources, graduate outcomes, humane future society, and enhanced educational standards. I would like to recollect the special remarks made by our speakers about the NIRF or any ranking or assessment systems. Whether you love it or hate it, you have to go for it. I am sure you all remember it was given by Dr. Prashant Nair. Another one, doesn't matter whether you are a lion or a deer, when sun rises in the east, better be on run at your best, by Dr. Kamala Rani. And by Dr. Radhe Srinivasan, I will be happy if I'm remembered as a good teacher. Definitely all these are motivating quotations given by our speakers. Right now, the role of ranking frameworks in quality enhancement in higher educational institutions, a 2-day national webinar, June 24th to 25th, 2021 has come to an end, but our journey begins here. I would like to end with a quote. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, and you are a leader. I thank everyone for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Shrikala, for that very thorough summarization of the various technical sessions that were conducted as a part of our webinar. If any of the participants would like to speak and offer their reflections, you can please raise your hand and we'll unmute you. So Rajeshwari will just wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll proceed with the vote of thanks. The feedback form is being put up in the chat box. So request all the participants to please make sure they fill up the feedback form.
Yeah, as Ms. Aparna said, you are open to give your reflections. That will help us to move further and do better also.
Yeah, Mr. Shravan Kumar from STJC.
Good afternoon, all of you. On the behalf of St. Joseph's Degree and PG College, I am Shravan Kumar, Department of Physics and Electronics, the HOD of the Physics. Would congratulate you all for organizing wonderful, timely managed, useful sessions. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. I now request Ms. Rajeshwari, member of IQAC and also the co-coordinator of this webinar, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. No duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Rajeshwari, Assistant Professor, Co-Coordinator of this webinar, on behalf of IQAC St.Ann's College for Women, wish to extend a very heartfelt thanks to all the esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and the contributions is making this webinar a great success. I extend my thanks to all the participants from various reputed institutions for their enthusiastic participation. I would like to thank our distinguished speakers for sharing with us their findings and opinions about national and international ranking system in the two-day national level webinar. Keynote speaker, Dr. Prashant R. Noyer, Vice Chairman, IQAC, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapitam, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Technical Session 1, Dr. K. Kamalarani, Chief Academic Guidance Officer, IAE, Hyderabad. Technical Session 2, Dr. Chitra Krishnan, Assistant Professor, RAC, Professor, School of Electronic Engineering, BAT, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Technical Session 4, Dr. A. Xavier Mahimaraj, Associate Professor, IQAC Coordinator, Loyola College, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Technical Session 4, Mr. Veera Reddy, Vice President, Global Head of HR and Training, Signi Technologies, for accepting our invitation and taking time out from their busy schedule to share their valuable insights. Let me express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the guest of honor, Dr. Radhe Srinivasan, Controller of Examination, St.Ann College for Women, Medipatnam, Hyderabad, for making our graceful presence here today. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to express our deep gratitude to our beloved principal, Dr. Sister P. Amrita, for providing immense support in organizing this webinar. I extend my gratitude to Dr. Smita Asthana, Convener, IQAC Coordinator, Dean Academics, for her untiring effort and support in organizing this webinar. Coming together is a beginning, staying together is a progress, and working together is a success. Rightly said by Henry Ford. I thank each and every members of organizing committee, IQAC team, for working hard and smart to make this webinar fruitful. I would like to express my thanks to the prayer team, Ms. Saujanya, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, and BSc final year student, Ms. Jerusa and Ms. Mahati, for rendering beautiful song. My sincere thanks to our technical support team for their entire uninterrupted service. I congratulate all the participants for their active participation and making this event huge success. Thank you all. Now I request everyone to please rise for the national anthem. Just let me share the screen. Ma'am, screen is visible?
Yes, Radhi. You will have to go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Jana Gana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
I request the participant, if possible, can you switch on your videos? We can have a group photo session. I hope Papi and Hindra both are ready for taking pics. Yeah. I request everyone, please switch on your video for a couple of minutes.
Thank you, everyone. We hope everyone has filled up the feedback form. So hope to see you all in whatever next event we'll conduct, and we hope this will help all of you get really good rankings in the future. Thanks once again. Have a good day, everybody.
I request the participant, if you are filled with your feedback form, you can leave this meeting.